Hello everyone. I was asked if I could do a short video on how I paint with a credit card. So here goes. I did try it earlier, but for some reason one of the files didn't upload properly, so I'm going to have to redo it. Never mind. So I'm using a small bit of credit card at the moment. It's only a small piece of paper, but just to give you a general idea of how things work. So first of all, what I need to do is just put a little bit of paint on the card, on the edge of the card like that. And what I'm using today is Neutral Tint by Winsor & Newton. I normally use Daniel Smith's, but they didn't have any in, but actually this stuff's pretty good. So first thing we need to do is to wet the paper. So I need to decide where I'm going to have my rule of 2/3. So I'm going to have a small sky and a bigger landscape, or I'm going to have a big sky and a smaller landscape. So I think I'll probably try and go for the smaller landscape. So I do like my clouds. So just spray the paper a little bit there, like that. And then I take my credit card. Just a little bit too much water on that, I think. Just let that soak in for a little bit. That should be fine. Let's just move that about. Okay, so let's go. Let's see what we can get. So just move the credit card across and then wrap around like that. Don't have to be particularly precise. And then if we give the paper, you can see the paint already moving here. It's not so much moving up there, so what we could do to get the mountainy bit, which I'm assuming it's probably going to be a mountain, just wet the brush a little bit and then go along just on the very edge of the paint. A little bit more paint, a little bit more water, I think. So it's on the very edge of the. There we go. I don't know if you can see that, but the paint's actually moving now along the edge. And then what we end up with, just make that a little bit longer off the page like that. So what we end up with is what looks a little bit like a mountain. And you can see these little bits here. That could be trees in the distance. And obviously don't forget what we're doing here, what we're looking for is distance. So everything in the foreground is going to be clearer than the things in the background. So that looks pretty good so far as a starting point. So now what we need to do is look at the foreground and the midground. I say, if you look here, you can see it looks like there's grass, the way it's flared up, which is good. And this is broken up a little bit here, so something might happen there. So I think what we'll do is we'll spray down here and see what happens there. Let's move that out of the way, just need to move this a little bit. So if I move the board around, let's see what develops. So I'm going to try, I don't know if you can see that, but the paint is moving pretty well at the moment, which is good because I want to try and fill this little bit, but not a huge amount. Right, that looks quite good. Let's just apply a little bit more paint along here, because don't forget the foreground is the bit that is going to draw your eye to the further stuff in the background. Just take my paintbrush, just shift that along like that, and then if I tilt this up like that, just going to encourage it to move a little bit. So this is still moving here as well, so you need to be careful not to disturb that too much. There's a few little marks down here. That'll develop into something. See them flaring out now. Just join those up like that. So you can see here there's little sort of tufts here. So it looks very much like a grassy scene with perhaps some trees up here that we're not particularly well defined, which is fine, which is what we want. So we can develop this. So what we need to do, we just need to wait for this to dry. Just take a little bit of paint out there and move it across. Again, you can see it flaring up here. Shift that across like that a little bit. So it's all very much trial and error really. And if you want to take paint out, use a damp brush and you can just lift a little bit of paint, which creates a little bit of a lighter area. So what we need to do, give that a bit of a blow. I'm just going to dry it off a bit and then come back to you. So as you can see, this is dried significantly lighter down here particularly. So now what we need to do, we've got the basis of the paint, painting. So before we deal with the sky, we just need to deal with this little bit here. So I'm thinking, what should we do? What does it look like? I think it needs some more verticals in there. So I'll take my hog's hair brush, my favourite hog's hair brush, and I use this dry. Just put a bit of the paint on the end of the bristles, like that, and then push them up like that. And as you can see, that gives the impression of long grass. And of course that needs to be stronger because we're in the foreground. That needs to be stronger here. And we might just put a few little dabs up there in the distance. You might not be able to see that, but when I take a photograph of the end you will. And then with my sword brush, what we could do, we could try doing a few little longer bits of grass, maybe coming out here. A bit more paint on there. Sort of reedy type things. Just to break the picture up a little bit. Be a little bit careful not to be too definite about it. I think that's probably enough. And we could put a little fence across here as well, but I don't think we necessarily need to do that for now. Maybe a bit later on. And let's have a look, what else could we do? Very much down to you really, what you want to do. Let's just go in with this a little bit more, a little bit stronger, maybe down here. Just don't forget the paint does dry a lot lighter than it looks. That's better. You don't want to go all the way across, it'll just look like a barrier. So I think that's better. So we'll leave that like that for the moment. And what we'll do now is we'll do the sky. So first of all, what we need to do is wet the sky. Just generally brush across, don't cover it all, because what we want to look for is clouds rather than just a grey sky. So let's put a bit of paint on there, and then maybe just give it a tiny spray like that, which just adds the water. And then what we can do, we can move that around a bit We don't want to cover the whole sky. We want some dark foreboding clouds. Just dry the brush, just take a bit of that out. You can see that we probably can't see the water moving, but it is. And then draw that in. So the dark clouds are going to be over here on this side. So it's going to get lighter as we go this side. It's looking pretty good. So we just need to soften that edge. So clouds generally, the edge of clouds generally fade away. So that looks pretty good. You can see here, I don't know if you can see here or not, but it looks like it could be a little bit of rain coming in there, which is good. I just need to move this up, just move this around a bit. It's not moving too much, which is good. Soften that again, soften that edge again. Good, let's put a little bit more paint up here. Dab a bit in, and what that will do, it will actually move and find its own space, because we don't want a big blodge of dark. We want it to be an interesting sky. If I hold it up like this, and the paint's going to go this way, which is what I want. You can see it running. I want to kind of have it ending up around about here, and tailing off up there. That looks reasonably good. Dark foreboding sky. And that edge is, soften that up a little bit more. So bear with me 1 second, back in a tick. What you need to do to get some kitchen roll, and what you can do is use some kitchen roll or tissue, and then you can pick out. You don't want to overdo it. You can pick white bits out, and it gives the cloud a little bit of a more realistic broken feel to it. Say I'm not trained, I'm self-taught, so any purists out there probably thinking, what on earth are you doing that for? To be honest, I probably don't know. So I learnt to paint, well, I started painting in COVID times, to be honest, and I never saw myself as an artist, and to be honest I probably still don't really, if I'm honest about it. But yeah, so I think that's probably about it really. It's only a demonstration of the process is more than anything else, rather than necessarily the end result. He says making excuses for not a great painting, but hopefully that gives you a good idea. What I need to do is I need to put some wildlife in, so I might put a couple of birds here or something, and once I've done that I'll take a photograph of it, and you'll see the end result. I hope that's been of interest to you, and I'll see you in a bit.